Yesterday we learned the definition of a function, and we looked at tables, mappings, and graphs and coordinates to determine if something was a function or not. And so the definition of a function is for every input or x value, there's only one output. So I'll write that here. So the function, okay, so every input, every x has only one y value. So each input only has one output. On a graph, it's really easy to tell what a function is. You look at the vertical line test. So for example, this first one right here, this would be a function, passes the vertical line test, whereas the second graph would not be a function because there's some spots on the graph where it had, for each input, there's more than one answer. Okay, so let's look at the table. It says use the table to find each function value. And so now we're going to look at this thing called function notation. And this is where they say, all right, something is a function, so how are we going to show that something is a function like in an equation? And so to do that, instead of writing y, we say y is f of x. Okay, so here's how we say it, f of x. And all this means is it's a function. Okay, so f of x is like y. Now if you remember in our graphing calculator, it was already kind of built in, the function notation, and we've seen this before when we did graphs. So I'll show you that real quick if it takes a second to pop up here. Okay, so once that pops up, I'll show you. All right, but let's go over this table. Okay, so when you see function notation, again, this is the way you say it is f of x, it means that this is a function. So we don't have to go through and check, is it a function or not, like we did yesterday. This is saying this is a function. And here this is saying here's the input. And if this is the input, then the corresponding output, the y value, again, we can call it f of x. Okay, so here's what it means. F of 4, so this is just a shorthand way of saying when x is 4, when the input is 4, so when the input is 4, what is the output? So what is the y value or the output? Okay, so here we look in our table and we find when the input is 4, and here it is, and the output for that is 1. And so here's how we write the answer. F of 4 is 1. And again, all this means is this is a function. In our function, plug in a 4. When 4 is the input, what's the output? It is 1. All right, let's try the next one. Can we find f of 1? So this is saying, all right, when the input is 1, what's the output? Let's go over here. Oh, when the input is 1, the output is 3. So we say f of 1 is 3. Okay, let's do some of these down here. We'll go back to C. C is a kind of different type of problem. Find f of 0. Okay, so f of 0, we find when the x value is 0, what's the output? And it's 5. All right, some of these. Okay, let me go back. I think my calculator's loaded. So I just want to show you where that function notation is. So if I go to a graph, there it is. There's that f of x. It's the same as y equals. And so this thing, type in a function and I'll graph it. So I'll do one right here. All right, so we have 2x plus 5. There's a function. F of x equals 2x plus 5. It's like y equals. Okay. Let's do this next one, f of 2 plus f of 3. So this is kind of just like two separate problems in one. So we're going to find f of 2 first, and then we'll find f of 3. So f of 2 means when x is 2, what's the output? So that would be, if we look at our table, 0. So when we plug in a 2, we get a 0. Plus, and now we're going to add f of 3. So we're going to find when the input is 3, the answer is 4. So we're going to do 0 plus 4. And so we can say that f of 2 plus f of 3 is equal to 4. Okay, how about this one, f of 2 plus 3? So in this one, we only look at the table for one of these values. We're going to find f of 2. We know that's 0 from here. So this is just saying find f of 2, which is 0. We'll add 3 to that, and so that answer will be 3. Okay. Have we hit all the types of problems? Okay, this one right here, f of 2 plus 3, order of operations, do this first. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we're trying to find f of 5. Okay, let's go here. When the input is 5, what's the output? It is 2. So we say f of 5 is 2. All right, so that is when they give you the input and you want to find the output. But there's a second type of problem. I'm going to circle all these in red. So here's a second type of problem where they give you the output and they want you to find the input. So these are a different type of problem. Let's do C first. So this is saying the answer is 4. What is the x value? So it's going backwards. So it's saying the y value is 4. So let's find that. Where the y value is 4, that is right here. When the y value is 4, the x value is 3. So we say x equals 3. Now let's do the next one. The output is 2. So let's find the 2. So here's where the output is 2. Then the x value, the input, is 5. And the last one, the output is 2 plus 3, and we know 2 plus 3 is 5. And again, we found that already when the output is 5, the input is 0, the x value is 0. Okay, so several types of problems here. If they give you the input, find the output. And if they give you the output, find the input. All right, we can try these. Let's just do some of these. I'll do the middle one, f of f of f of 0. So we're going to start here, f of 0. So this means when the input's 0, what's the output? So when the input is 0, the output is 5. Okay, so now this is 5. So now we have f of 5. So let's find that. When the input is 5, then the output is 2. Okay, so this is 2 right here. So let's cover that up. This is a 2. So now we have this f on the outside. We want f of 2. When the input is 2, the output is 0. So we would say f of 0 is 2, the final answer. Okay, so there's from a table. If they give you the input, find the output. If they give you the output, find the input. Okay, we can look at function notation in an equation. So 3x minus 5. That is a function. This starts at -5, and it has a slope of 3. Again, if I were to graph it, we could check, does it pass the vertical line test? So let's graph it. Let me go up here. And again, it was 3x minus 5. And we could see, yes, this is a function. It passes the vertical line test. But to save us that trouble, they say it's g of x. Okay, so again, you can use any letter out here, g, but then we say of x. Okay, so this is saying it is a function, g of x. So let's use this to find each value. Find g of 3. All it means is plug in a 3 everywhere you see an x. So this is going to be 3 times 3 minus 5. So all I did was take a look at this and plug in for x, a substitution. All right, so then let's solve. We have g of 3 equals 9 minus 5. So our final answer, g of 3 equals 4. Okay, so it's just substituting. You plug it in and you solve. All right, let's try the next one. G of -6. All right, so that equals 3. But this time, instead of x, we're going to write a -6 minus 5. Okay, and then let's solve. So this will be -18 minus 5, and that will be -23. So we'll say g of -6 is -23. All it means is you plug in a -6, and the output then is -23. All right, let's do g of 0. So this will be 3 times 0 minus 5, which is 0 minus 5, which is minus 5. So we say when we plug in a 0, we get -5 for an answer. Okay, how about this one? This is like 2 problems in one. Let's do g of -3. We'll do that first. So that's 3 times -3, and then it was minus 5. And then I'll do another one separately, and then we'll add them together. So let's do g of 3, which is 3 times 3 minus 5. All right, so let's solve these. So here we get g of -3 equals -9 minus 5. So g of -3 equals -14. So there's the first one. This one, g of 3 equals 9 minus 5. So g of 3 is 4. So now we're going to add those together. -14 plus 4 would be -10. So we would say g of -3 plus g of 3 equals -10. And that would be that answer. Okay, let's try the next one. G of -3 plus 3, so again, we just solved this one first. So g of -3 equals, and you plug into our function, it's 3 times x minus 5. So 3 times -3 minus 5. Let's do that first. Okay, so this equals -9 minus 5. Oh, we had already done that. I guess I didn't have to do it again. So that's -14. But now we take our -14 and we add the 3 to that. So we would say this equals, I'm just going to write it up here, negative 11. Okay, and then the last two types of problems, now we have the answer. The answer is 13, solve for x. So here this is the answer, so we're going to say 13 equals 3x minus 5, and then we solve. So here we'll add 5 to each side, and we get 18 equals 3x, divide by 3, so x equals 6. Okay, and then over here, again, this is saying the answer is negative 2. What does x equal? So we'll say, all right, negative 2 equals 3x minus 5, and solve that. So we'll add 5 to each side. We get 3 equals 3x, and so x equals 1. Okay, so that's using an equation. So whatever equation I give you, either you plug in for x, or you have the answer and you solve for x. So the first few are plug in for x, and these down here were solve for x. Okay, so it says the function h of x is defined by the rule double the input and add the x. Can you write an equation for the rule? So if we double the input, that would be 2 times our input, and we add 6. So now here's a new equation. Let's do some of these. I feel like you get the right idea here. So h of 4 is, this time we're going to use our new function, 2x plus 6. So we'll do 2 times 4 plus 6. And so we say h of 4 equals 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. All right, let's do h of 0. So here, h of 0 equals 2 times 0 plus 6. So h of 0 equals 6. And this one, it's 2 functions in one. You split it up, solve. I'll skip that one for now. Here's h of 8. h of 8 equals 2 times 8 plus 6. So if we do that, we get 16 plus 6, 22. And h of, oh, okay, here's one different one. This, oh, okay, this was wrong too. I'm so sorry. Okay. So this one, it's not giving me the input. It's saying the answer is 8. The answer is 8, solve. So I'm sorry, I should have done this. 8 equals 2x plus 6. Let's solve for x. Okay, so if they give you the answer, so they don't give you x, you have to solve for it. You say 8 equals 2x plus 6, and you solve. So minus 6 from each side. We get 2 equals 2x, and we divide by 2. So x equals 1. So there's that answer. Let's do one more. So again, here the answer is 10, and that equals our equation, 2x plus 6. Okay, and then we solve. So minus 6 from each side. 4 equals 2x, so x equals 2. Okay, so either you plug in, like we did for the top two, or you have the answer, so you solve for x, like we did the bottom two. Okay, and last, let's look at functions in a graph. So we can tell this is a function that passes the vertical line test, so let's just call this g of x. All right, find g of 1. Okay, so g of 1 means the x value is 1. So I'm going to here where the x value is 1, we're going to go up, and we're going to find our graph and go over, and we're going to find the y value. 1, 2, 3, this is 3. So we say over here, g of 1 equals 3. It means when x is 1, what's the y value? It's 3. Let's do the next one, g of negative 2. Okay, so we're going to find where x is negative 2. It's right here. Go up to our graph and over. And so we say, all right, if g is negative 2, then the y value is positive 2. Okay, let's try the next one. Oh, this gives us an answer. It's saying the answer, the y value is 3, find x. So I'm going to find where the y value is 3. 1, 2, 3. And go over to my graph and down, and the x value would then be 1. And the last one, g of 2. So find where the y value is 2. Okay, so here's where the y value is 2. And look, there's 3 answers here. So one is at 0, one is at negative 2, and one is at positive 2. Okay, so again, it hits our graph 3 times here. So we say x is negative 2, x is 0, and x is 2. So there's 3 spots, 3 x values that give a y value of 2. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This graph shows the pressure to get engaged over time, depending on how old you are. So the first one, P of 25, means what's the pressure to get engaged when you're 25? Well, we find where the x value is 25, and we go up and over, and it would be 20%. How about when you're 35? You go up and over, and that's 60%. How about when you're 45? You go up and over, and that drops to 40%. And then this last one says, all right, the answer is 38%. What's the x value? What's the age if the pressure to get engaged is 38%? So 38% is here. We go over, and the age of that would be 30 years old. All right, so we've looked at functions from a table, a graph, and an equation. I made a few typos on your assignment, so here's one that you'll want to change, and here's the other one. So look for those. Change them on your assignment. See if you can do it from a table, a graph, and from an equation. Be careful because they give you F, G, and H for here. Okay, and then you have some on the back. Okay, so that's it. Our assignment will be pages 12 and 13.